Hey, this is Kamori, and today I'm going to be making my first Kigurumi. I'm going to be using the Simplicity 8276 pattern, which just came out, and I'm pretty excited for. So this is also going to serve as kind of a pattern review or sew-along video, and I'm going to be basing it off of the center bear design, and I'm going to be turning it into Monokuma from the video game Danganronpa. Start by taking the front pieces of the Kigurumi body, and we're going to sew them together along the center front seam. Next, fold over the inside of the stomach pieces and sew them down, leaving a space open about 5 inches from the neckline. Put the stomach pieces on top of each other and sew them together along the bottom where the folds overlap. Next, insert the stomach panel into the front of the kigu. Now we're going to sew the back pieces of the Kigurumi together along the center back seam. Put the front and the back of the kigu so that the right sides are together, and sew them together along the tops of the shoulders. After the front and back pieces have been attached at the shoulder, open up the kigu and sew the top of the sleeve into the armhole. To add the pockets, take 1/2 of the pocket and you're going to put it right side together with one of the sides of the kigu and sew it into place. On the pattern there are some little dots marked to show you where the pocket is supposed to go. Then put right sides together and sew the front and back pieces of the kigu together along the sides, starting at the sleeve and working right down to the top of the pocket. Then from the bottom of the pocket down to the end of the leg. Trim the seam allowance on either side of the pocket, then sew the 2 pocket sides together along the edge, putting right sides together. Sew the front of the kigu to the back of the kigu along the insides of the legs. Cut out the sleeve band patterns, then putting right sides together, fold the material in half and sew along the shorter side. Now, the pattern called for using a ribbed knit. I'm using just a basic stretch knit because I have this left over from another project. Putting right sides together, sew the cuff onto the sleeve, then pull it forward to create the cuff. Repeat this process to create a cuff around the ankle as well. To make the hood, put right sides together for both the front of the hood and the back of the hood. The front of the hood pieces, you're going to sew them together along the top, and for the back of the hood pieces, you're going to sew them together along the side. Since the ear pattern that was included with the pattern wasn't quite the shape I was looking for, I made my own out of some tissue paper. And you're going to use the pattern to cut 2 pieces out of white fleece and 2 pieces out of black fleece. Then put right sides together and you're going to sew each ear together along the top. Turn the ear right side out and fill it with a little bit of fiberfill. Pin the ears to the front of the hood along the area where it's going to attach to the back of the hood. Then sew them into place. Putting right sides together, pin and sew the front of the hood to the back of the hood, sandwiching the ears in between. Repeat this process to create a lining. You can use whatever color material you'd like. I'm using red. Putting right sides together, pin and sew the front of the hood to the front of the hood lining, all the way along the sides, leaving the bottom open. Fold the seam allowance towards the red lining and sew it into place to understitch. Turn the hood right side out and sew the two pieces together along the bottom. Use the snout pattern to cut one piece out of the white and one piece out of the black. Then put them on top of each other, and you're going to sew them together using the dots on the pattern as guidelines. So you're going to sew them together from here to here. Turn the nose piece right side out, and then put the white side down, black side up, sew it onto the front of the hood to create the base for Monokuma's face. Next, I cut out and hand sewed on a kind of thin half moon shape to create the base for the bottom of Monokuma's mouth. Next, cut out another half crescent moon shape out of some more of the white fleece and sew it on to the hood. Then I took some black thread and embroidered the teeth marks onto the design. To make the top of the mouth, I cut another piece out of the white fleece and sewed it on. Then, using the same technique to make the teeth marks, make a little line that goes up to the nose, and I just sewed on a teardrop shaped of the black fleece, and now the mouth is done. To make the eye, I just sewed on another piece of the red fleece, and then for the other eye, I used a button left over from another project. Sew the hood onto the top of the kigu, and finish up the extra little bit of sewing along the top of each of the front pieces. Now, the pattern directions call for putting buttons down the front of the kigu. I wasn't a huge fan of that element of the design, so I hand sewed some large snaps all the way down the kigu to close it. Next, we need to make the pattern for the belly button. So we need a circular shape. You can trace around any object you have in your house. I traced around a thing of guacamole, and then we're going to use that to cut out two pieces out of the white fleece. Next, take the two pieces of white fleece for the belly button, and we're going to sew them together along the outer edge, leaving a little bit open. Turn the belly button piece right side out, and you're going to sew the opening hole closed, then hand sew the belly button onto the kigu. I also took some black thread and embroidered the X mark in the middle of the belly button. To make the pattern for the tail, we're going to use a half circle shape with a little bit added on at the edge for seam allowance, and a little bit added around the curved edge to allow for gathering later on, and we're going to cut out the pattern and use that to cut out one piece out of the white fleece and one piece out of the black fleece. Pin the black and white half circles together and sew them together along the flat side. Fill the tail piece with some polyfill and hand sew it onto the back of the kigu to make the tail. And with that, the Monokuma Kigurumi is done. This was my first time making a kigurumi. I was pretty pleased with the pattern. It was fairly easy to follow. The only concerns that I had with it is that the ankle and wrist openings ended up being a bit large, as well as the entire kigu. Because I'm only 5 feet tall, the bottom of the kigu was kind of hanging around my shins. But it was very comfortable. It was very warm when I wore it to a convention, and I may make another kigu in the future. I hope you like this video. For more cosplay sewing tutorials, please subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.